To start the top 10, we have, unfortunately, the only representative from X2 on this list. Don't get me wrong, X2's Maverick roster is solid, but due to the stiff competition from Mavericks from the other games, I could only put one of these guys in the end. And the one Maverick that will be representing X2 on this list is Magna Centipede. Magna Centipede is a Maverick I, personally, don't think gets enough attention. I mean, he's not even an honorable mention in the core guy's own favorite Mavericks list. And why not? This guy's awesome. I mean, he's, as Aerodragon 2 puts it, a ninja centipede. And like Aerodragon 2 said in his own favorite Mavericks list, you have to be pretty wrong in the head to not think that's awesome. When you enter his stage, oh hey, this room looks familiar, wonder where I've seen it before. Anyways, the beginning of the stage you have Searchlight, just like Dark Mantis' stage, except your penalty for touching them here is dealing with Fleckers. Afterwards, you deal with a couple of installers, which are basically blocks, before dealing with the Chomp Register. Like the Shuriken and Blast Hornet stage, it's a wireframe mini-boss, and it's not too annoying if you have the right special weapon. After dealing with the Chomp Register, you go into a giant room where falling globs transforms into solid upon hitting the ground. And while you're dealing with that, you also have to deal with free reticles, and if you get scanned by them, it'll power up the next mini-boss, the Radar Killer. And in the final part of the stage, not only do you have to deal with Bleckers and installers, but also deal with giant bottomless pits. As you can tell, there's a lot going on in this stage and it's not even funny, but I love it for that. And I assume that somebody at Capcom loved this stage too, because you played through the first part of it during the final part of the game. As for the fight, Centipede would teleport, throw shurikens, and launch parts of his tail to surround you. Of course, I couldn't forget about his signature ability, which is using his tail to nerf you. The first 2 times you get nerfed by him, it affects your buster, the third time it affects your dashing, and the final time it affects your height. A fun fight that's also rather easy. Even if you get fully nerfed by him, his weapon, the Magna Mine, is, well, a mine. It works like the remote mine from Mega Man base, and overall, it's a pretty good weapon. So yeah, in my mind, Magna Centipede is certainly an awesome Maverick that definitely deserves more attention. Number 9 is my favorite Maverick from Mega Man X3. Can you guess who it is? No, it's not Toxic Seahorse. Now, don't get me wrong, Toxic Seahorse is a good Maverick, but there is one Maverick from X3 that I think is better than him. And that Maverick is... Oh yeah, I went there. I personally picked Crush Crawfish as my favorite Maverick from Mega Man X3. First off, his design. He looks like what would happen if Bubblecrab from X2 took steroids or something. And, not gonna lie, this design is great. Sadly, his stage isn't too great. It's not cheap or annoying, but there's nothing special about it aside from these slow-moving conveyor belts. Although the music is really catchy, I won't deny that. But while Crawfish sort of fails at lower design, he makes up for it with a really fun fight. His attacks include shooting one of his claws diagonally or fire 2 boomerangs to force you off the walls. And if he grabs you, he will repeatedly snip at you with one of his claws. And when his health is low, he'll do another attack where he'll throw his back at you. And if you get hit, you'll be sent flying. He also has one of my favorite weapons in X3. While the spinning blade fires 2 blades that fly backwards, they're still very powerful. And charging this weapon will create, as Aerodragon 2 puts it, a yo-yo of death! In all seriousness, I love this weapon, and in general, I love this Maverick. Yet another Maverick designed after an aquatic creature makes my list. Okay, seriously, Jet Stingray is a popular Maverick and for all the right reasons. Like Blizzard Buffalo, his design isn't too special, in fact he looks rather derpy, but it is acceptable for a Maverick design after a Stingray. But of course, the thing he's most well known for is his stage. It's a Ride Chaser stage, and the second one in the series. However, unlike the Ride Chasers in Overdrive Ostrich's stage, you can only go forward. That being said though, it's not frustrating. Sure, the speed of the Ride Chaser is rather erratic, but at the same time, the obstacles aren't really all that dangerous. I will go more into this stage, but I plan on doing so in a later countdown. All you need to know right now is that this is a stage so fun, it even allows you to attack Stingray himself before you even reach his boss chamber. Speaking of Stingray, when you finally confront him head on, he will have 2 attacks. Flying around the arena while screaming, yeah, that, and shooting out miniature stingrays that crawl along the ground. once his health is low, he adds a new attack where he attempts to suck you towards him like he's related to Dustman or something. Basically, this battle encourages you to constantly move and it's fun. While it's not too hard, I still say that this is one of X4's more challenging bosses. As for weapons, X gets the Ground Hunter, which, as his name suggests, a weapon that can travel across the ground, but it's still pretty good. And while Zero's Hienkyaku isn't a weapon, it still gives him the ability to air dash, and that's all you need to know. Overall, Jet Stingray is one of the most popular Mavericks in the series, and as you can tell by him being on the list, I think he deserves all the attention and praise he gets. Even if I do think that X4 is sort of overrated. Hey, my opinion, and please don't complain about it in the comment section, please. Also, I've got 2 more X4 Mavericks to be on the list, so I hope that makes you happy. If you ask me which Mega Man X game I thought had the best Maverick lineup, I had to say the game that started it all. While I did say that X3 had barely any Mavericks I hate, the more I think about it, the same can be applied to X1. And at the number 7 entry, we have one of the original 8 Mavericks on X1, and his name is Boomerang Kowanger. Yes, I know that his name is Boomerang Kowanger in the SNES version, but I prefer the name they gave him in Maverick Hunter X. But it doesn't matter what you want to call this guy, he's still awesome. Now you're probably thinking, what the heck is a Kowanger anyways? Well, Kawagata is the Japanese name for stag beetle, which is what he's designed after. And yes, this design is very slick. Certainly looks like a pincer that lost a lot of weight or a Vigavolt but without any electric abilities. Leave all of that to Spark Mandrill, pal. His stage takes place in a tower and has a lot of dangers such as laser wires like the ones in Dark Mantis' stage. And if you touch them, the ray traps will fire lasers at you. Thankfully, they're not too hard to avoid, even if the ray traps themselves are indestructible. Then you go through an elevator ride with platforms that have spikes at the bottom. Oh yeah, and damagers are also trying to cause trouble for you. Next, you go outside the tower where not only are there platforms with cannons on them, but there's also these lizard-like things that climb on several ladders, hence the name Ladder Yadders, meaning that if you want to progress, you must destroy them. And the final part of the level has moving platforms, some of which have turn cannons, meaning that, once again, if you want to progress, you must destroy them. All the while you're going through this stage, one of the greatest songs in the game plays. I can't describe how good this song is, so listen for yourself. When you finally get to Kowanger, he can be pretty tricky if you don't have the homing torpedo, as he likes to teleport all around the arena. His other moves include throwing his boomerang cutter at you or using it to throw you into the ceiling. Like Jet Stingray, this battle encourages you to keep moving. Now while it's not as fun, it's not bad. Too bad he doesn't have any new tactics in Maverick Hunter X. And while his boomerang cutter isn't the strongest weapon in the game, it's still pretty useful as it allows you to grab hard to reach items, including hard tanks and sub-tanks. Overall, while he may not be my favorite X1 Maverick, we'll get to him later, there's still no denying that I love Boomerang Kowanger, especially for his theme. Seriously, I love that song. Well, we've gone through this entire list and we've yet to see a Mega Man X5 Maverick here. Starting for this entry though, that's going to change. Isn't that right, Spike Rose Red? Yup, Spike Rose Red almost made the top 5 and for a lot of reasons. First off, his design. Capcom really found a way to make a Maverick design after a Rose look cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if the people at Game Freak were inspired by him to make the Pokemon Roserade. Speaking of which, why did I assume that Roserade existed first in that Spike Rose Red motivational poster I made many years ago? Past mistakes aside, his stage is pretty much what you expect from a Maverick like him, a forest/jungle level. Your obstacles include purple roses that shoot out mechanoid bugs while also trying to grab you, robotic vines that pop out of nowhere, oh yeah, and tons of wires and death spikes, but it's still a rather solid stage. As for the fight, when you see him immediately showing off his cloning abilities, you know he means business. During the battle, he will throw bouncing spike balls and using his wine whip to trap you. Wait, are we sure this guy wasn't also the inspiration for Brassius in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Whatever. For his desperation move, he uses Rose Cutter, which involves showing out rose petals that slowly fall down. Doesn't sound too dangerous, but when he does this, he will sometimes summon his clone, and both of them will try to trap you with Rose Whip. Despite this, it's not as cheap as it sounds, and overall, this battle can be fun if you have the 4th armor with you. The weapon that X gets from him, the Spike Ball, is, well, a Spike Ball, and charging it will cause it to bounce all over the area. As for the move that Zero learns, it's pretty much the Soul Body from X4 only the clone attacks with you. A pretty good weapon that has also been incorporated in Zero's moveset in Marvel vs. Capcom. So yeah, while he didn't make it onto the top 5, Spike Rose Red still made it onto my list, smelling like a rose.